Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Floodlights Camera Action. Your home for the weekly reaction to latest films in football. From Mark Little to Mark Strong, we'll cover the lot. I'm Jack, but podcast is only because it's co-host, so every week I will join by my good friend Veronika to dissect all things film and football. Veronika, how are you?
I'm good. But I don't think we should be focusing on me this week. How have you been, Jack? Has anything happened recently that you would like to mention to our listeners?
Yes, I mean, there's something that I won't mention, so apologies for no episode last week. That is entirely my fault. But in terms of good news, I have got another nomination for another Football Content Award. Last year, I won bronze in the Best Young Content Creator category. I clearly have now been deemed to be old, which is a shame. But I have been nominated for Best Club Content Creator Brackets Football League for my analysis work on and around Portsmouth Football Club. So to vote is very simple and it's free. You don't even have to register. It's so easy. All you have to do is go to footballcontentawards.com/voting, and then you go down to Best Club Content Creator and you click Hancock Analysis. Or if you dislike me, you don't click Hancock Analysis, but I would love every vote. And fingers crossed, although I can't be at the ceremony this year because I'm going on holiday the next day, I absolutely still want to win that award. So it'd be a great reflection of all the hard work that I put in this year. So yeah, that's the dream. Every vote means a ton. So thank you in advance.
I have already voted for Hancock Analysis, by the way, so everyone else should as well. And we got robbed for Best Podcast. But we'll get to that next year.
Yeah, well, you've got to give the opposition a chance, and then we'll hop in. But anyway, as I alluded to earlier, there was obviously no episode last week. Apologies for that. But I'm doing better now, which is the important thing. Have you had the opportunity to watch much soccer in the last week? And do you have any games lined up?
Soccer. Yes, I did watch soccer. I went to the proper Arsenal City game on Saturday. WSL, first day of the season. I went to the Emirates. I got a club level ticket, which was amazing, by the way. Like a great seat, right on the halfway line. Nice free drink at half time, maybe more than one, but let's not tell Arsenal. I really recommend it if anyone has the chance, especially for a WSL game, because obviously it will be cheaper than trying to do it for a Prem game. The game itself was really good. I was really impressed. Arsenal took the lead quite early. Surprisingly, I don't think they were the favourites. City equalised with a Miedemar deflected goal after she did some great work to get into the position, which is interesting because Miedemar left Arsenal on a free this summer to join Man City because Arsenal didn't want to give her a new contract. So that was a good one from the script writers. Well done to them. She's also one of my favorite women players. So that was cool to
She
see
is
her score
fantastic.
again.
She's a great footballer.
I think she's one of the best female strikers I've seen. She's brilliant. But she did play quite deep. To be fair, she was kind of more of a midfielder, which was nice because I think she's good on the ball as well. So it was a draw at halftime. I talked to a guy at halftime actually because I went to the game on my own, and there weren't many seats, so he asked to sit next to me, and he did tell me that one of his daughters plays for Arsenal's youth academy. So that's pretty interesting. Shout out to him.
Get her on the podcast. Get her on the podcast.
Yeah, let's
Unless
get her
she's
on the
like a full
podcast.
child.
I don't know how old
Got
she is,
invest early.
but maybe not. Anyway, second half, Man City completely dominating. To be honest, they definitely had a good team talk. They dominated from the start of the second half. Very nice patterns of play from the back. Jess Park scored an absolute banger to put them in front, make it 2-1. Shot from outside the box, clips the bottom of the crossbar in the top left corner and goes in. My goal of the week, which I haven't watched much football, so it probably doesn't say much, but my goal of the week, I recommend finding the clip. Then Arsenal finally woke up and started playing better after going down. It was also fueled by the fact that the manager decided to actually make the subs of Russo and Mead after the City goal. Should have happened before the City goal, because the attack looked rubbish second half, but, what do I know? Then Arsenal did equalise, I think 81st minute, with a Beth Mead goal. Came off the subs bench, scored from a rebound. She has a number 9 now, so number 9 instinct has locked in. 2-2. Arsenal did push for a winner towards the end. and I stayed towards the very last second because I did think they were going to get one. I thought it looked really good for them, but they couldn't. Had an amazing time, ended 2-2. If Arsenal women want to sponsor my next ticket, to carry on getting this much coverage on the podcast, feel free. Also, club level, please. I don't want a normal ticket. Just, in the big leagues now, so would be nice. I'll be trying to get to a Liverpool women away game at some point soon if they play in London, because it's hard for me to go to matches when I work weekends most of the time. But I got lucky with the fact that I had a day off for this one because it was an absolute cracker of a game, and yeah, I loved it.
We are big supporters of women's football here at FCA. In terms of football I've watched, well, football I've been involved in anyway. We had our first day of uni football trials yesterday as time of recording. Some good players, which is exciting. So it should be a good year, hopefully. And in terms of football I've been at, I went to, well, unfortunately, I went to West Brom versus Portsmouth. I was in a bad mood already for reasons. And I thought, look, I need a pickup. Portsmouth are playing. It's a Sunday 3 p.m. kickoff, which is weird. I had a couple of drinks beforehand. Was feeling good. West Brom, good football team, but Portsmouth, not as good football team, but I love them. That hope and that optimism was very swiftly evaporated because we got dicked 3-1. It was basically the exact same game as the Sunderland game. West Brom and Sunderland both weren't, outstanding. I mean, they were good, but they weren't outstanding. They just were very efficient. Whenever we turned the ball over and made a mistake, they punished us. It was just it was a painful experience. And annoyingly, what's made it worse is that all of the trains in Portsmouth were not on for the day because of engineering work. So I had to walk home from Fratton Park all the way to, where I live in Gosport, which, it got my steps up, but I wanted to die by the end of it. So that wasn't a great experience, but, this weekend, so on Saturday, I'm going to Portsmouth versus Sheffield United. So another easy game for Portsmouth. Our start to the season I think it was not in this specific order, but it was Leeds, Luton, Borough, Sunderland, West Brom, Burnley, Sheffield United. That is just very unfair. We've not won a game yet, which isn't ideal, but I think we're better than the table suggests. We've had loads of injuries, like an obscene amount of injuries, which I think hasn't helped. I feel like we'll be fine. We will be fine, but it's one of them where the longer you chase that first win, the harder it's going to be to get. And I think a lot of it is out of Mourinho's control, the manager that is. But I think there's also a fair bit of blame that could be leveled at his door. That's not me saying I want him sacked. I really don't. He's amazing. But I think his in-game management has been shaky, and his kind of his front four combinations have been quite bad, I think. But anyway, maybe things will improve come next week. Maybe we get a point against Sheffield United, which would be amazing. Maybe we even win. Who knows? And then it's clear skies and plain sailing for the rest of the season. Anyway, over to the Premier League. I want your mind to go to Chelsea. Who is in charge of Chelsea? Oh wait, Enzo Maresca. Does Enzo Maresca have hair, Veronica? Does he have hair?
I can confirm that he does not have hair. He does not have hair. I have confirmed.
You don't get that kind of coverage anywhere else. Well, there are not just one, but six bald Premier League managers. We've got Enzo Maresca, Pep Guardiola, Sean Dyche, Arne Slot, Eric Ten Hag, and Nuno Espirito Santo. And we thought, how can we make light of bald people and also combine it with film? Well, we're going to almost have the spirit of Grand Theft Auto, and we're going to give every single Premier League bald manager the haircut of a famous actor or film character. We're going to go one at a time. Veronica, what haircut have you given Enzo Maresca?
Alright, you know what? I didn't read the question properly, so I missed out the film character bit completely.
It's fine, don't worry about
But
it.
I do have hairstyles, and I do have some comparisons, so we'll go with that. Enzo Maresca. Now, listen, technically, this guy is an actor who I'm comparing his haircut to because there is a concert film called Never Say Never by the great Justin Bieber. And I would give Enzo Maresca one of those swept fringe old school Justin Bieber haircuts because you know what? He's way too late to the party. He's joined mid mess. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a child, and everyone wants him to shave it off and leave.
I so I initially when I was going through this list, I realised that I'd given basically every one of them like either long hair or an afro, and I thought, no, come on, it needs to be a bit more creative. So for Enzo Maresca has been called an egg a lot. And what can you put eggs in? That's right, bowls. Who's got a bowl cut? Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. I feel like that will accentuate his features, and I have spitballed this link. I just think it will look funny. Now, moving on to uh, Josep Guardiola. I've currently got my mic leaning on a book about Josep Guardiola. What haircut would you give the great egg Guardiola?
All right, I've actually got a film comparison. So, do you know Sons of Anarchy, Charlie Hunnam? Do you know who
I
I'm
know
talking
who
about?
Charlie Hunnam is. I've not seen him in Sons of Anarchy.
Well, is he
I'll
not in
Google
Sons
it
of
quickly.
Anarchy? Because I just made that up. He might not be. He's in some biker film, surely, or some biker TV show, right? Anyway, him. I'm going for his hair, so kind of a medium length, slicked back hair. I don't know what's trending in men's hair right now. I tried to Google
He
it, couldn't
was in
find
Sons of
anything.
Anarchy. He was in Sons of Anarchy.
Yes, okay. See, knowledge. That is film knowledge, TV knowledge. So yeah, medium, slick back hair. Something that's kind of ahead of the curve. And my prediction for men's hair, because I'm an expert now, is that slicked back hair will be coming back. And it will be like Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, who is a very good looking man. I can see it.
Now, I've more gone down the route of illegalities and crime. Um, One of my favorite films, also coming to the Criterion Collection in December, I believe. No Country for Old Men. I would give Pep Guardiola Javier Bardem's haircut in that film because A, Pep is a bit of sort of psychopath, a bit cold. But the whole film, you're thinking, is he going to get caught? Is he going to get away with it? Brackets the alleged financial crimes that have not been, you know, agreed on yet. Um, and we'll get to the end of it, and he might get away with it, and then we'll all go, oh, okay. So yeah, I would give him that haircut. Now I'm gonna take the next one first. Next one is Sean Dyche, close to be sacked if you believe certain tabloids. I'll be honest, this is one of them where I went long hair would suit him, and actually this one works. Right, got it. I would give him Barry Lyndon's haircut from Barry Lyndon. He comes from a working class background, and then he rises up and has greatness. I mean, not greatness in Burnley and Everton, but um, also he would look cool with long hair because I feel like Sean Dyche he loves festivals, as we know, loves concerts. I feel like he'd love to just whip his hair around listening to Arctic Monkeys or whatever. So I feel like that could work. Who have you got for, or rather, what have you got for Sean?
I went kind of, I guess, similar. I went for a mullet. Proper, nice long mullet. I think he looked great in it. I can imagine, I close my eyes and imagine Sean Dyche with a mullet. I think, like, give him a mullet and a baseball bat. And that is how I imagine it. Like, I don't know if Patrick Swayze had a baseball bat in Dirty Dancing. Probably not, if I can remember correctly. But I think he had a mullet at some point in that film. He probably had one throughout the whole film, or in another film. I just remember Patrick Swayze having mullets. That would look quite nice. I can imagine that. Yeah.
So I had family round. I reckon it's maybe 2 years ago. And I imagine it might have been like a year and a half ago, sooner than I should be ashamed of. But I didn't realize that Patrick Swayze was dead until about a year ago, and it's now a running joke in my family. And someone will go, "Ah, did you hear he's died?" And then inevitably someone will chime in with, "Do you know Patrick Swayze's dead?" So rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. Who have you got, or rather, what have you got? I keep saying who, what, where, why, how. What haircut should your beloved Arne Slot have?
Okay, so because I love him so much, I accept him how he is, and I don't want him to change. But for the game, I will pick a haircut. and I will go for the closest thing you get to having a bald head, which is a buzz cut. I can't see him having more hair than that. He's no nonsense. He wouldn't bother with any of that woke haircut stuff. Kind of like a train spotting Ewan McGregor. That's how I'd compare Arne Slot's buzz cut. That sort of height and level of hair would be perfect, I think.
So I also really like Arne Slot. And I think, look, everyone loves him. He's charismatic. He's funny. He's a very well-rounded man, I'd say. Well, who is one of the most well-rounded performances of all time, in my opinion? It's James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. I think he'd look good with some blonde, not short, but like medium length hair. He can have a little flick. He can woo ladies with his um, luscious strands of hair. Yeah, I feel like he'd suit a really cool haircut because everyone loves James Dean, everyone loves Arne Slot. Now, the next one is Eric Ten Hag. I'm not going to explain this one too much. I would give him Travis Bickle's haircut from Taxi Driver because I think there is a chance in the next year that he goes insane and potentially kills people. I'm not gonna, this is what Manchester United does to people. Manchester United make psychopaths. Who, what Barnet is Eric getting if you're, his barber?
So I went a different route here. I went to completely towards the GTA theme in a different way than you probably think. But I went with a man bun, and I'm thinking longer hair and a man bun with those strands that they take out of it so that they fall in front of their face, that it looks so perfect, even though they did it on purpose. His eyes give off like yoga instructor vibes. If you just cut off his eyes, I'm telling you, they give off yoga instructor vibes. Like the one from GTA 5, who
Is Eric
sleeps
Ten
with
Hag gonna
Michael's
fuck someone's
wife.
wife? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And he just has those kind of eyes and the vibes. Like he's nice and chill. And then there's something darker inside, you know? There's something not right. He makes not moral decisions. And so, yeah, I've gone with that. I'm comparing him to the yoga instructor who has sex with Michael's wife in GTA 5.
My before we move on, my darling mother um actually has a crush on Eric Ten Hag, and I don't really know. But I was watching the Carabao Cup final a couple of years ago, and she told me, and I was like, I don't know what to do with that information. So, putting out into the ether now. Last but not least, Nuno Espirito Santo, who I'll be honest, I thought Nottingham Forest would be really crap this season, and they actually look quite good. What Barnet is he getting as a reward for his strong start to the season?
Okay, so I couldn't really. I found it quite hard to think of one. So I'm going all out, and all I wrote down is low taper fade. So that's my answer.
I've just got written down Jason Momoa, so you know maybe he'll play an older version of Aquaman. Anyway, that was a whole lot of nonsense, but I tell you what isn't nonsense. It's my weekly football quiz. Now, this quiz this week is actually it's not a serious one. It's more attainable because I feel like we've done so many weeks of stupid questions, good questions, but stupid questions. We need a little break just in order to kind of reset, and then it'll feel weird in a few weeks' time. Now, this quiz is all about the England national team. Veronica, 5 questions. How many do you think you're going to get right?
Zero. I have not watched an England game in like since you lost to Croatia in that semi final, the Euros or something, or World Cup. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was coming back from Thorpe Park that day. Anyway, question number one. I got this question off TikTok because it's a very good question. Which player who hasn't received an England cap has the most Premier League goals
Oh my god. Like in history. Or right now.
in history?
Oh my god. How am I meant to know? I can't even name an England player. uh Callum Wilson. I don't know.
Incorrect. It is Sergio Aguero.
Wait,
What was the
what?
question? What was
I
the
thought you.
question?
Wait, I thought you meant like an English player.
No, the question, and as all good quiz people say, you play the question. The question was, which player who hasn't received an England cap has the most Premier League goals? I didn't say which English player never to receive an England
Oh,
cap
come
hasn't.
on, that is a stupid question.
It's not stupid, it's just a question. Anyway, let's move on. Number two, who has more England caps? Gary Neville or Kyle Walker?
Well, I know Southgate loved Walker. And I don't know about Gary Neville because I probably wasn't alive when he was playing. Uh, I'll go with Walker.
Correct. That's one for two.
Yes.
Number three, who has more England goals? Raheem Sterling or Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be Sterling just to annoy me.
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Incorrect. It's Steven Gerrard.
Thank God. The game's not gone.
Number four, who has played more recently for England? Phil Jones or Danny Welbeck?
I'll say Welbeck.
That guy Welbs. Yes, he has.
Yes.
Last question. True or false? Both Wayne Rooney and Marcus Rashford made their England debuts against Australia.
I'll say false.
Unfortunately, you've only gone 2 for 5 this week. It is true. Obviously, it was decades apart, but they both made their international debuts against Australia, which I
Why
found
would
to
you be
be
playing
quite interesting.
Australia?
I guess it was a friendly, but it's a weird timing when you take into account like both were like. I guess Rashford is sort of a United legend in a way. In a way. Anyway, that was one of your weaker, you know, outings in the quiz world. But I believe you have a game for us, a
Yes, I
football
do.
game. What have I
It
got
is
to
a
do?
football game. Because a football game has just been released, Jack. It's the new FIFA game. What a segue.
Can someone buy me it so I don't have to pay for it, please? Buy me new
Well, yeah,
Xbox as
shout
well.
out any Saudi investment that wants to come into the podcast and buy Jack some FIFA points and a game. Anyway, I knew that Jack hasn't really played it yet. I don't think he's played it at all. So let's take advantage of this gap in knowledge and play a bit of a higher or lower game with the ratings. We'll start off with Marcus Rashford. He's 81 rated this year.
Well,
Is
that feels low.
Doku, that is quite low, is Doku higher or lower rated?
I reckon Doku is. You say Rashford was 81.
Yeah.
I reckon Doku's. I'm going to say 82, but I think you're going to say like 79. 82 rated higher.
He's lower rated. He's 80 rated, which I
That
think
feels kind
is
of right.
fair. I think that's
Yeah.
fair. Now, next player, Loftus Cheek, your favourite player, as you've said before, that you
Sex
think
magnet.
he should be winning the Ballon d'Or.
He's so handsome. So handsome.
Is he higher or lower rated than Doku? Doku was 80 rated.
Oh, he's lower rated because the big dogs at FIFA just don't get it.
Well, maybe they do, because he is higher rated. He's
Wow.
81.
That feels weird.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. They've got something right.
Good for the cheeky boys.
Now, next one.
You tell her don't play FIFA much.
Yeah,
Christ.
you're getting them all wrong. The next rating is Gabriel Jesus. So is Gabriel
Oh,
Jesus higher or lower rated than Loftus Cheek?
higher.
He
Surely.
is
Yeah.
82.
I reckon 83. Okay, cool.
82, yeah. Which, to be honest, I think is too high. But that's just my agenda.
82, huh?
Now, is Gundogan higher or lower rated than Jesus, who was 82?
Oh, right. He has to be high rated. Like, I know it's FIFA, so it's not like completely realistic, but you cannot tell me that Gabriel Jesus is a better footballer than Ilkay Gundogan. It's just, he has to be higher.
It is higher. It's 87, which I think is
Good.
crazy. I think
No,
that's
that's
crazy.
good. I love Gundogan is quickly. He's one of my favourite ever Premier League midfielders. I love him.
87 right now. I don't know.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
I'll be honest, that was a bit high, but I'd
yeah.
rather that than really low.
Last player is McAllister, Alexis McAllister. So he has gotten an upgrade since last season because he had a very good season last year. Is he now higher or lower rated than Gundogan, who was
He
87?
has to be lower. He has to. I love Alexis McAllister, FM19 legend. He has to be lower.
He is lower, but only by one. He's 86 rated now,
Ooh,
which is quite
ah,
nice, I
you,
think.
that's yeah. I think that's a sneaky one where I think that's actually I think that's correct, but I think people go fucking Alexis McAllister 86. Um, how did I do? How many did I get wrong? What, like two or
I
three maybe
think
wrong?
you got
I got
three correct out of
I got Docker wrong. I
five,
got
six.
Loftus Cheek wrong. So
Yeah, but the rest
not
you
bad.
got, yeah,
As
pretty good.
someone who doesn't play loads of FIFA, I'm proud of myself for that one.
I do play FIFA, so if anyone wants to send me some FIFA points, go for it.
If I need to get a new I say it on a future chat with Tom Little. My Xbox One is like a decade old, and I need to upgrade at some point. So maybe floodlights, camera action, pro clubs could become a thing at some point. Who
Oh, that
knows?
would be really good because
That would
I
be
play
so
pro
so good.
clubs. Let's get it going.
Let's do it. Anyway, as I said there, we had Tom Little on the pod this week. We recorded it last night. It was an unbelievable chat, full of like noughties nostalgia, football DVDs, video game tie-ins to films. But before you do that, before we let you listen, we need you to do us a massive favour. All we're asking you to do as a little reward for our hard work is to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And if you fancy it, you don't have to click auto download. So, well, the episodes get automatically downloaded to your library. So when you're on a commute, you're never left short. But as promised, here is our conversation with friend of the show, Tom Little. Enjoy. Tom, welcome to the show, mate. How have you been?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Uh, I've been enjoying the footy, been enjoying life in general. Really, not many complaints.
Good stuff. Me and Tom haven't spoke, I reckon, since the famous JLAFC Spaces, where everyone was booting off, and it was. I miss those Spaces. They're not gone. I should clarify. The great Ben Bowman now hosts them, but yeah, me and Tom
Trying
go way
to
back
remember the last
to
one we done.
February. Would it have been? It wasn't. Were Liverpool in any cup finals last year? Was it
We were
like
in
FA?
the
No,
Carabao Cup final, but
that was ages ago though. Yeah,
I think we done one after that. I
I'll text
think
you later
I,
and we'll work it
I,
out.
I think it might have been the City one, the 1-1 at home.
Yes, I think that
Because
was it.
I seem to remember you just gave me the floor so I could moan about the McAllister penalty incident that never happened.
Yeah, I think we might have had like we had a run where it was like you, Mike Quill, Double A, and it was just like people who could just talk and like proper go for it. And it's like, made my life so easy because I just had to sit back and just like fire you questions. And you could just go on for 5 minutes. But anyway, that's for me rambling. Tom, we kind of teased it there, but who do you support? And what was your first football memory specifically of kind of the heartbreak or anger?
Really positive memories that you're trying to bring back there.
Oh, I knew the
Firstly,
best.
I'm a Liverpool fan, born in the city, raised in the city, and best city in the world. Apart from certain memories, the first one that sticks to my mind, the earliest one, will probably be the. See, Torres gone was bad, but Suarez came in, so that kind of alleviates it. The football memory that made me the most angry and the most heartbroken earliest was the 2012 FA Cup final when we lost 2-1 to Chelsea, and Andy Carroll came off the bench, scored one, and then almost scored that second in that 20-minute spell we had where we were battering them, and Petr Cech pulled the save of his life out his arse, and then we just never came back. And that was the first cup final I'd seen Liverpool lose, because we just earlier that season we'd beaten Cardiff on pens. So going to Chelsea and then seeing how we were coming back into the game and then still losing because of bloody Drogba at Wembley. So yeah, that was probably definitely not the worst one now that I'm older and I've seen much worse games, but definitely the earliest memory of heartbreak.
That makes two of us because just before we move on very quickly, my biggest memory of kind of heartbreak, I guess, was I watched the 2010 FA Cup final. This is the year Portsmouth got relegated from Premier League, we had Chelsea, fun enough, and Drogba went up and scored and made it
It's
1-0.
always Drogba,
It's
isn't it?
always Drogba,
It's
isn't it? And
always Drogba.
the thing is, as a kid, obviously, like worse stuff has happened since then. Pompey going into administration and yada yada yada. But like, it's always bigger when you're a kid because you're smaller. Yeah. It's anyway. Enough about heartbreak because I don't want to
That
talk about
was
heartbreak
so
anymore.
philosophical, Jack. That was great.
Well, we're not doing a podcast for 2
Things
weeks. I have to
seem
roll out my
bigger
best line.
because you are smaller. Wow.
Put that in a quote book. Mark Twain came up with that probably.
Signed poster.
I mean, you could twist it the way things seem smaller because you're bigger.
Ooh.
See, we're covering all angles now.
Maybe
Yeah,
that could be
this
like a
is
mental health
incredible.
angle. We could say, look, you're adults now, so your problems are more, they're smaller, so they're easy to deal with.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to less of that and more positive outlooks on life. For example, Liverpool right now, currently under Arne Slot.
Mhm.
If we ignore that Forest game that he keeps bringing up, what are your thoughts on the start of this season with Arne Slot, his play style? How do you think we've been doing?
I'm very happy with it. Whilst I appreciated Jurgen, there'll always be a love for Jurgen Klopp. The last couple of years of Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, you could see the problems. We were turning way too many games into basketball matches, and in turn, that meant we were throwing away a lot of points, which one season cost us a Champions League spot, and I think last season probably cost us the league when you look at certain games. Slot's come in and he's fixed that right up. We look so solid as a unit, and it's even more impressive considering we didn't even get Zubimendi. We're doing this with Gravenberch as the six. He's revived his Liverpool career. So many players are stepping up. Diaz, I never expected this level of output out of Diaz. And even the players that were good last year, that they're looking like they've got a new lease on life again at the football club. And I like as well Slot's personality. He's different from Klopp. He's also likable in his own way. He does just say it how it is. He will just sit there after beating a team 3-0 and go, yeah, if anyone wants to know, this is exactly how you beat them because they do this, this, and this. So if you do that, there you go. That's your solution. And it's a nice little change. I think it's the right change that we needed. Jurgen Klopp was a very emotional guy, and that led off into the team and was partly the reason why we had such highs that we did. Arne Slot's much more clinical and much more tactical in nature. And I feel like that is the next step that this team needed to make. We're going up against some of the best tactical minds in football now. Emotion can get you so far, but there's got to become a point where you can go toe-to-toe tactically with these guys like Pep and Arteta and that. And I feel like Arne Slot can do that. So I've got, bar 19 minutes against Nottingham Forest, where everyone was horrendous except Gravenberch, I've got absolutely no complaints about Arne Slot, and long may it continue.
I just want to say that actually what you were talking about, comparing Klopp and Slot, I think the one thing that's kind of threaded through both of them is that kind of ability to take a player and improve them.
Oh, yeah.
And not just rely on signings. Like, he's shown that, like you've already mentioned with Diaz, with Gravenberch, like, he has that thing where he is actually a manager and a coach rather than just some guy who goes to press conferences or picks the team every weekend. And I think that's probably the most important thing for us, especially because we haven't made that many signings in the past few seasons. Yeah, I think he's great.
It's massive, especially as well with the one of the big things that I liked last season about Klopp was the amount of integration with the kids, and obviously part of that was due to the amount of injuries that we had. But I feel like Slot is also going to continue that and give young players a chance to shine through, and give players who maybe weren't necessarily showing the best last season a chance to shine through. I think whilst there's been so much to like about Arne Slot, the one disappointment I've had is not even on him. Harvey Elliott getting injured when he has done has been gutting, because I think he's someone who Arne Slot would absolutely love to work with. So I hope he gets over this fractured foot quickly and can get back into the side and we move onwards and upwards. I mean, we've got some really good players coming through the academy at the minute, Trey Ione especially. So I can't wait to see him get some minutes in the cups this season, because he really impressed in pre-season, and Slot's open and admitting it. And all this comes together because replacing Jurgen Klopp was such a big ask, because, as I said, there's so many aspects about what Jurgen Klopp was for not just this club, but for this city. And Arne Slot, he's accepted the fact and he's embraced the fact that he isn't that. He isn't Jurgen Klopp. He's not going to try and be Jurgen Klopp. But what he is just the right thing that we needed, and the right piece that we needed for this step of the evolution. And with the guys upstairs coming in, I think that we're shaping up for a really exciting couple of years at the football club.
Now, you mentioned there the future, and as someone who follows the great Mike Quill and anything LFC, I have seen so many quotes about the future of one Trent Alexander-Arnold. What's going on with him, as far as you know? Obviously, I'm not asking you to have like David Ornstein level knowledge, but where do you kind of perceive things to be, and if I was to put a gun to your head, not literally, and say where will Trent Alexander-Arnold end up? Say that fast to 5 times. In a year's time or so, or whenever he's out of contract, where do you feel that's going?
Yeah, it's a tough one with Trent. I hope he stays first and foremost. Scouser, having a Scouser in the team, especially one as good as he is, the best right back in the world for 6 years, in my opinion, it means so much. I think it's going to ultimately come down to what he believes we're ready to achieve on the slot. I think I would feel a lot more confident with Trent if it wasn't Real Madrid. They are the only club that I believe could take him away, and they know that as well as we do. I think in his ideal world, he gets to decide at the end of the season. I don't think he's going to get his ideal world. I think we are going to give him a deadline of sorts. But I do think there's a part of him that will want to stay because of the allure of being this homegrown guy and one club man. We just need to show that we can give him the platform to win trophies in the way that Madrid can. And I don't see. Obviously, it's only 6 games, and he is especially going to want a wider sample size. But from everything we've seen so far, I don't see why we couldn't be in these conversations. I think the concern that everyone had going into this year was, is there going to be a real fall off from Klopp to slot, and is that going to take years to rebuild up? If so, the likes of Trent aren't going to want to stay. But we don't seem to have missed a step, which I think is a little bit of a dilemma for him personally. And my heart says he stays, but my head is really worried about Madrid because I don't think many players could resist Madrid at this point. With all the talent that they've got and all the potential that there's going to be for that team to play in, he knows how good a footballer he is, Trent. He knows that having Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo and Endrick run on to the end of his passes, that's something that's such a enticing possibility. But I've always been a guy who goes with my heart. So I'm going to say that we show enough this year that Trent commits to a new deal, and within the next 2-3 years, he's 100% the captain of the football club and leading us to glory again.
All right, my mystery question this week is also linked to contracts, and I'm gonna push you for a definite answer here.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in charge and you had to extend one contract, Trent is not involved. It's between Salah and Van Dijk.
Mm-hmm.
And you can give them a 2-year contract. Who would you give this contract to, Salah or Van Dijk?
Oh, this is like asking a parent to choose between the children. Oh my god. I'm gonna go purely on the basis that I don't think we have a better replacement in the squad, and he's shown it across his entire career, and he's got the allure of not having picked up any serious injuries or anything. I'd extend Salah just because he gives you everything. He's been your best attacker for 8 years now, and when it comes down to squad building, whilst it's not perfect, you can get putting Quansah in Van Dijk's spot for me is better than putting the unknown commodity of Chiesa in Salah's spot for a season, and then still having to go out and try and find someone. I think on the market, not that you're going to find anyone as good as Virgil van Dijk for obvious reasons. He's the best centre back on the planet. You can make Van Dijk up in aggregate in terms of how good a defender he is and the quality he gives you. If you want to try and make up Mohamed Salah in aggregate, you need to try and find a way to get someone who can give you 25 to 30 goals and someone who can give you 20 to 25 assists a season. The likelihood of finding that is nigh on impossible for me, especially someone who is willing to accept a rotation role, maybe, or someone who's just as natural across everything. And ultimately, as well, when it comes down to the people who run the football club, Salah makes more money than Van Dijk does in terms of bringing money into the club because he is such a global figure that another 2 years of that probably looks better on the financial books. I wish we could get both though. Just sign up, just sign everyone back up. Problem solved. Don't have to pick then.
I agree, by the way. I think I'd also pick Salah. He's the best attacker we have, like, by far. Just the distance between him and our other attackers and the consistency, you can't replace that. But if you compare Van Dijk to Kwanzaa Kanate, I think the difference is smaller when you compare him playing or not playing. I think Salah's way, way, way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, Salah's done this for 8 years now, and he's
Yeah.
got he is. I know this is not me saying he is better than him, but when you're gonna look at medals and honours and stats at the end of careers, Mohamed Salah is gonna have pretty much identical stats, identical trophies, identical individual accolades to Thierry Henry, who is widely regarded as the greatest attacker in Premier League history. You can't. That's not someone you can buy and in just one summer and then it's done. Like, I like Mbuemo, and that's a name that some people have said to replace Salah. That is not who I buy to replace Salah.
I
can't
completely
trust
agree.
Brian
I
Mbuemo.
love him. I love him.
He's brilliant. I think there's so much I like about his game. He's still only 24, and he's so direct, and he's got a good pass on him. But I'm trying to replace a guy who was in Ballon d'Or conversations for 5 years. I'm trying to replace a guy who's won 3 Golden Boots, 2 Playmaker Awards, Team of the Year about 4 times. This is not something that can just be done like that. And again, it's tough with Van Dijk, but like you said, I have so much trust and so much confidence in Kwanzaa to develop into a top centre back because he's got so much there about him. And I feel like you could buy a couple of centre backs who could fill the mould because teams need great attackers, especially ones with attacks as inconsistent as ours. That's the big thing Salah gives you. I can't trust Diaz over a season. I can't trust Nunes over a season. I could trust Jota if his hamstrings weren't made of cheese. And Gakpo we've never seen across a full season realistically playing the attack. So there's a lot of unknowns there, whereas with the defence, you could buy a couple of centre-backs and I feel like you could effectively make it up slightly better than you could if you lost Salah.
If you want to hear more about recreating things in the aggregate, you can buy Moneyball by Michael Lewis, the #1 national bestseller at some point. Anyway, I want to go back to your childhood, back to when you were small. Maybe you were tall, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Back when
Specifically,
things
though-
seemed bigger, eh, Jack?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, God, who said that?
Before everything seemed smaller, yes.
Yeah.
We'll go back
Yeah.
to then.
Yeah. Podcaster first, probably a philosopher second. Anyway, back to film. I want to know about your early film memories as a child. This time, I don't want to hear about the negative ones because we can only do so much sadness. Was there like a film you had on repeat, like for me, it was a Simpsons movie, or was there any like big cinema trips that stood out to you as a child?
I'll give you one of both. The film that I had on repeat for years growing up, from about 3 until I still watch it regularly now because it holds that special place. Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi one. Oh my God, I absolutely adore everything about that film. And watching it back when you're younger, it's oh my God, it's Spider-Man. Oh my God, he's amazing. Watching it when you're older, it's actually just a really good film with a really good story that you can properly appreciate. And when it comes to a cinema experience, I must have been, I can't remember the film, I must have been about 10 or 11 when this film came out. But I went with a group from my family to go watch Real Steel. And
What a film!
what a film Real Steel is. Oh my God. I've only watched it back a few times since, but it's the one cinema experience I've had in my life that just sticks with me constantly, and I'll constantly hark back to. Everything about that day was amazing, and it helped that the film was actually quite good. And it doesn't get the respect it deserves, Real Steel.
It deserves more. What's it? I think his name the road's name was Atom, but basically there was a tie-in video game for Real Steel on the Xbox. It was essentially just a boxing game. and I just played it so often, and the satisfaction I'd feel when I just took Zeus's head off. Oh, what a film! That's actually one I'd recommend to people. In that, and a lot of people wouldn't have heard of it or watched it, and you give the concept of, oh, it's robots boxing, and people are like doing the moves. It sounds so stupid, but it's really good. Hugh Jackman's in it.
That is my only gripe with the film. If he was that good at boxing and the robot's that good at shadow boxing, why not just batter him for the whole fight with that? Why does he do it with the stupid earpiece that is obviously going to get battered by Zeus? If he's that good at shadow boxing, just do it, because he had him on toast for that entire last round. He had him on toast. I've spoiled the film for anyone who's not watching, but that entire last round, he had the big robot on toast, and you're sitting there watching, going, why haven't you done that the whole time? Why are you using this little earpiece that you're shouting into, and it looks like it cost a fiver? The robot defo couldn't hear you through that. The robot defo couldn't hear him through that.
My favorite robot from Real Steel though was it Twin Cities, when it was just the robot had two heads.
Yeah,
and there was two people. Oh, I'm going to stop spoiling that film now. But
It was called Twin Towers, I think.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say that because it wasn't called Twin Towers.
How did that get in the film? Actually, how did that get past the regulations?
Yeah, someone
I
surely
might have
along the
also
script
lied. I don't know. I made up.
Yeah, but it's funny if it's funnier if it's true.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's true.
Yeah, someone in the creative process must have gone. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but maybe let's reconsider the name of the two-headed robot because of tragedies.
You know, like, that
Anyway.
reminds me that there was a period of time where there were films that kept coming out about, like, kind of the revolution
It was
of
called
robots
Twin
and
Cities,
shit.
by the way.
Oh,
it's called
okay,
Twin
Twin
Cities,
Cities,
not
alright.
Twin Towers.
Yeah, but it's always called Twin Towers, though, isn't it? Like,
Everyone
that's
said
never
it.
changing. Yeah.
Oh my
In
god.
public
And, you know,
conscious.
on the streets, everyone said Twin Towers.
The
but
streets,
I-
everyone's watching Real Steel.
Yeah. But I was just going to say, like, I remember that period of time where there were films about this kind of revolution of robots taking over and stuff. Because there was a film called Chappie. I don't know if you guys have watched it.
Oh yeah, that weird
And
one.
there was
Heard of it,
that
never watched
robot dog. And then there was like there's a German rap group, Dear Antwoord, and they're like both of them are the main characters in this film. It's so weird, and they're both bad people. But anyway, that's a weird film if anyone wants to watch.
Veronica, very
Chappie.
quickly, but this podcast in the dregs now. One film I had on
Oh,
repeat the
God.
job, just remembered it. What was it called? It was about the hamsters that were spies.
Oh yeah.
What was that film?
Oh my god. I had the video game on my PSP. It was the hamster. It was the hamster
Spy
balls.
film.
Elite? No, not Elite.
G-Force. G-Force.
G-Force.
Oh my
I
God.
cannot say I've ever watched that, but
It probably hasn't held up very well.
No.
that must have come out in like the late 2000s, before 2010, when there was just this influx of films about animals doing stuff that animals shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hamster. Who sat there and thought a hamster would be a good spy?
Some got really high, didn't they? They went.
I think they had McDonald's
guys,
toys as well.
Hamster
Probably.
spies.
It's like that snail one where the snails all of a sudden.
Turbo. No, I went to the cinema for that. I went to the cinema for that film. Turbo was the snail F1 races or whatever.
The only reason I know it exists is because I saw this thing on TikTok the other week that Ryan Reynolds voices the guy in it.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I had a snail club, and I proposed at a school that we should do snail racing on sports day. So when that film came out a few years after, I actually thought they
You
like
felt
stole my idea.
You
No,
felt
I felt
vindicated.
vindicated, but they stole my idea. Like, I was the originator of snail racing. Alright, anyway. Tom, tell us your favourite sports film. Let's move on from the animals.
See, because my favourite film is technically a sports film is Moneyball. Love it. Brad Pitt is immense. Jonah Hill's immense. The amount of quotes that I use in that's why I'm always going on about replacing stuff in aggregate, because it is so true. But I don't necessarily class it as a sports film, because I know it's about esports, but there isn't much sports being done in it. It's all about the behind the scenes.
It's more
What I
humans,
class-
if anything, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more like a drama, and it just like revolves around it. If you're asking me for a pure sports film, Rocky IV.
Oh, what a film! I think there are I think sports films is like, it's so hard to mess it up. because you can do drama like Moneyball, you can do comedy like the Mighty Ducks. Yeah, the Rocky films, apart from
Happy
Rocky
Gilmore.
Five. Happy,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Happy
whatever.
Gilmore, what a film. Although I
Yeah,
don't like the
we're going
fact
to
that they're
talk about
making a
Happy Gilmore.
sequel 20 years later. That's going to go well.
I saw a tweet the other day. It was like all films these days it'll be like a film released 30 years ago, a sequel released today, and then in 2 years' time there'll be the third one. It's like, why have we left this massive gap?
Do you want to know what though? I think the one sport that films have never really nailed is football. I
Ted
don't
Lasso,
think
the football's the worst part in it. It just looked weird.
goal. Everyone goes on about goal. I cannot watch goal because the guy doesn't know how to kick a football. And I'm sure it carries on if like you were really into basketball and you're watching someone throw a basketball and you're like, that's not how you throw it. But I'm watching the guy in
Yeah,
goal.
Space Jam is so unrealistic. Someone do something about that.
Oh my god. But in goal, you're watching the guy and he's got the worst technique to shoot. And it goes about 80 miles. He hits it harder than Roberto Carlos does. With like the technique that I've seen 3-year-olds use. And it takes me out the film at that point. Like there's like dead emotional scenes in it. Or like, for a guy who's a footballer, a lot of stuff don't half go wrong in his life outside of football. There's car crashes and drama and this, that, and the other. And then I'm like, I just want to watch him kick. I don't actually want to watch him kick a ball because he's not very good at it. But I want to see the football bits, not the whole drama bit about what it's like moving to a new city. Because you do that every single film. Stick to a club. Where's the one club loyalty gone? Newcastle pulled you out from the depths of Sunday League football in America, and you chucked them away at the first possible opportunity. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
So I want to delve back into my childhood very temporarily. And these aren't films, but these are DVDs about sport. So two DVDs I had on repeat as a kid. The first one was Lovejoy and Redknapp's Best of Football. This
Oh,
DVD is
is that one
Different
of them?
Class by Stephen Gerrard. Basically, they sat down and just watched it was like goals and best moments and like
I tell you
worst
what,
moments. But there was go on.
People who made them type of things must have made a killing because they were coming out every year with something new. Them,
Mate, Jamie Carragher's got an absolute bastard of a cardigan and a tie on. The bit that sticks out to me was they've got boot cuts on as well. I think it was Michael Essien. He lined up. It was like trying to hit the ball from range, and it curves and it like zooms in on this kid. They're going like carrying away from it because he thinks it's going to hit him in the head, and then it swerves in. He's like, "Yeah, fucking get in there." And I just have a distinct memory of that.
I'm sure the kid said, fucking get in there, Jack, yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. He's
might have
from
done.
London. It's one of
true.
two ways from people down there.
Yeah, a Chelsea fan as well, so definitely foul-mouthed. Anyway, the other one was The Great Escape Portsmouth DVD from 2005.
I wonder why you got a Portsmouth DVD.
Yeah, that's Gary O'Neill's on the cover and Matty Taylor. Oh, but yeah, I had this on repeat as a kid. Obviously, I was born in 2003, so I don't remember this, but it's like I've got like a vicarious experience because I watched this DVD over and over again. I think there are so many like weird little. I mean, there was one that was called Bend It Like Beckham, not the film. It was a DVD of just David Beckham doing skills. Oh, absolute magic! Absolute magic.
I felt like in the early 2000s there was 3 sections of sports DVDs. You either had your funny moments DVDs. You had your like. I know that a lot of clubs, ours especially, done like Road to the Final or Road to the Cup DVDs about when they won something, or Greatest Escape. And you'd have your season reviews as well, so there's 4 actually. And the other one was just a footballer doing a brand deal about this DVD that you could watch where they teach you how to play football, but they just do not look interested in the slightest. It did produce the greatest moment ever though with Michael Owen against the kid. It did.
Oh, yeah, true.
I can't like the 13-year-old in goal. That's the greatest moments. So it might all be worth it in that sense. He might not have cared, but he did score a boatload against a 13-year-old.
I found it. I found the David Beckham thing. It's called Really Bend It Like Beckham. You get it for £2 on eBay. I might order it. I might just see. I might do a review. On the...
like all these football DVDs and stuff. Actually, just brought back a memory of mine of when loads of middle-aged women bought Zumba DVDs. And what happened to Zumba? Because it was like this. Okay, you know what? No one cares. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I just remember my aunt buying loads of Zumba DVDs because it was like exercise where you didn't need any equipment, and it was basically just dancing.
Yeah, it was just dancing.
It was like, it was so weird. I don't know why people did that. And there was loads of celebrities who did like Zumba, their own Zumba DVDs. All right, you know what?
Mums. All middle-aged mums.
Let's bring it back. That's what I say. Bring Zumba back.
I just remember Zumba used to annoy me because
That was a
whenever I used to play on footy pitches indoors, I'd always be kicked off at like 7 because the group of middle-aged women need the room for the Zumba.
Yeah.
You got to get off, Tom. The Zumba class are coming. You got to
Honestly.
get
Oh
off.
God. All right. Well,
Horrendous.
let's get back on track a little bit. You mentioned Moneyball as one of your favorite films.
Mhm.
What would be your top 3?
Oh, top 3 favourite films. Prisoners. Moneyball probably makes it in there for number 2 because because it's not a sports movie that can go in there as number 2, and then number 3. It's a toss-up between the original Transformers from 2008 or Fast and Furious 5. Like the last decent one before they started going into space. But I'd probably give the edge to the original Transformers.
Transformers was sick.
Oh
So
my
cool.
God.
It's awesome.
Being 7 when that came out, oh my God, that was like a life-altering experience. I will watch that film back so many times, and as I've got older, there's been different parts of the film that I've appreciated, i.e. Megan Fox. But in
I
the
appreciate it when I
moment,
was young. That's not changed. That's been the through line.
no, but you see, when I was 7 and watching it for the first time, I wanted to see Optimus Prime battling Megatron. I didn't want to see a quite good-looking woman at that time. I wasn't really too bothered. As I've got older, I appreciate it now, and I go, you know what? There's a reason she gets as much screen time as she does. Bumblebee was a hero. Optimus Prime was boss. The only bad thing about that film was, before that film came out, there was like all these tie-in toys that you could get, and I got one of this little like coupe car that was also bought, and I can't wait to see this little guy. I bear in mind, I've got this like 2 weeks before I've seen the film, so he's my guy. Can't wait to see him. Watch the film, and Megatron just rips him in half in like the first part of the fight. I've never been so gutted in my life. It kind of set me up for life as a sports fan. But honestly, God, watching him go, he's going to do something in this fight bit, and then Megatron just sort of grabs him over his head and rips him apart. I'm going, it's just my luck. Why couldn't I got Bumblebee?
Yeah. So growing up, I was a DS kid, and we had this little like card which had like every game ever on it, and there was a Transformers game, and
Those cards were boss.
It was one of the it was definitely illegal as well. It was one of the best video games we've ever seen because there was, I can't remember what the plot was, but there was like a couple of cities, there was like a desert and like a military base, and there was an ice area as well. And basically you just go around finding new cars and like new helicopters and stuff and adding them to like your collection. You could just transform into like helicopters and shit. I think that's probably where video games peaked. It's kind of those like film.
Those DS tie-in games were either horrendous or amazing, and there was no in between.
The Shrek 3 tie-in game was not great. It was like Nintendogs, but for Shrek.
But there was a separate one.
Ogres and Dronkies.
PS2, there was a Shrek fighting game. Honest to God, I don't know how many hours I sunk into that game. I reckon if I looked for it, I could find you that game that's somewhere in this room. There was that, and there was, on the PS3, there was a Transformers game that came out, and it was basically just Spider-Man, but you're a Transformer. And I've never had so much fun in my life.
Is it Shrek Super Slam?
Shrek Super Slam, oh my God. And I think it is, Shrek Super Slam PS2. It is. Oh, it so is. I've seen the little slams at the bottom.
Was so good. The PS2 was, I think it's pound for pound potentially one of the best consoles of all time. That and the Xbox 360.
Oh my God. I'm just going through the screenshots. This is bringing back so many memories.
Only hot takes on the FCA podcast from Jack.
Look, yeah. I'm just
see, I think everyone understands PS2 to Xbox 360 was the way to go. It's what you went after that.
Yeah, so I went started off like DS, then went Wii and PS2, then went Xbox 360, then went Xbox One / PS4, and now I'm back at Xbox One. I can't be asked to buy a new one. This Xbox One I've got is the OG Xbox One. So it's like a decade old, and it groans and it cries and it has to do anything. But Should probably upgrade, but anyway, here we
To
are.
be fair, my problem, I think I started off on the Game Boy.
No, I was about to say I started off on the Game Boy as
The-
well,
We all had a
playing
game. I didn't think that
Rayman.
counted. Did that count?
The
Game Boy
Game Boy.
counts.
Yeah,
Game Boy
love-
was
love
so
the Game Boy.
good.
if you count the DS,
Pokemon.
you got to count the Game Boy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, it's fair.
So I went like Game Boy to original Xbox to PS2. DS was in there. Nintendo Wii was in there. Then I went to Xbox 360. Then I went to Xbox One, and I've stayed with them since. Even though I should have went ages ago. I must have been through about 5 different Xboxes for different reasons. I know I've gotten 2 banned for fraud, which is a separate thing.
We can
I've
chat
had
about
2.
that on a different episode.
Let's not talk about that publicly, maybe.
Nah, it is what it is. They can't catch me now. It was 5 years ago. But yeah, I got 2
Statute
of them done.
limitations.
I got 2 of them done completely network banned because of a form of fraud. One of them just conked out on me after 8 years, but it was at the point it should have conked out on me early. It was one of them ones where I've unscrewed the top so we can get more air into it because it was dying otherwise. It had to go on like its own separate stand, which was bringing air in every way. And now I've got this little Series S1, which I should have. I bought it when it first came out, and I sit there and look at it now, and I should have just wasted a month and got the actual Series X.
Series
rather
X
than
is
this little
very
one.
good.
Because
It's
this
very
little
good.
thing, I've just got basically an in shape Xbox One that makes
Yeah.
less noise.
So
I
next
had
one goes to the
similar
gym
to
once a week.
Tom, but I had a PSP instead of a DS.
I had a
I had a
PSP.
Mate,
free
PSP went
DS at some
hard.
point, but it was not the best.
3DS isn't the one I
PSP
went
is
to.
number one. I still play my PSP.
What the fuck was the PS Vita? What was that?
I
Oh,
had
that
a
was
PS
r-
Vita.
Oh, no,
I had a PS Vita
no,
as
you're
well.
the only person that's bought the PS Vita.
I had a PS Vita for Uncharted. I bought a PS Vita for Uncharted, and it was dead good. And then I never played anything else on it ever again because oh my god, it just didn't hold up. PSP was immense. I played
PSP. Oh my god.
Spider-Man 2 on the PSP. Oh my god.
So
such a good
many
game.
like really long journeys where I just sat at the back of the car playing my PSP for 5 hours.
See, I had a rotation, so I used to go through from the DS to the PSP. There's a reason why I had an addiction to games for years, and it probably damaged my education. I could have been dead smart, but no, I spent my time playing little tie-in games on the PSP instead, and I'd rotate through them for hours on end. Oh my god, take me back, man! What's this crap we've got now?
So you're about to see a really smooth segue. Talking about taking you back, I want to take you back to the most recent film you've seen, or a recent film you've seen. What did you watch, and what were your thoughts on it?
The most recent film I've seen is Tropic Thunder because it was on Sky.
I've been meaning to watch that. I've not seen it. I saw it was on Now TV. I might give it a little gander
Yeah,
tonight.
I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I only just watched it recently, and do you know what? It was funny. It was funny, and I think there was some good comedic performances in there. I couldn't help though but feel ever so slightly underwhelmed because everyone goes on about it like it's one of the funniest films of all time, and it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say it's one of the funniest films of all time. Maybe that's because, for me, when I look at funniest films of all time, there's 2 that I go straight to, and that's Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. They're peak comedy for me. And maybe it's American humour doesn't translate as well as British humour does to me. But I couldn't help but feel just a little bit, some of the jokes didn't land, it just felt a little bit underwhelming. And maybe I built it up too much because everyone goes on about it and how funny a film it is, but yeah, it was alright, but I just couldn't help but feel a little bit underwhelmed.
I'm going to very quickly add in Hancock's hot take. We're going to take it to
Oh,
my
God.
podcast for once.
Another one?
no.
Another one. I am not a huge fan of Ben Stiller anymore, and which is a real shame because Dodgeball is one of my favorite ever comedies. I saw it when I was quite young. My parents showed me it. Ben Stiller, I look at him now and I just think you're a wanker, and that makes me sad because I used to love Ben Stiller, and now I don't know, he's losing me a little bit.
I'm sure he's going to be really upset when he hears it, Jack.
He should be coming on the podcast. It's banned.
Mm-hmm. You've lost your chance of bringing him on.
Yeah. For God's sake, Jack, what have you done?
Fucking hell, that was in the pipeline as well. Shit.
I'm going to edit it out, don't worry. But what I'm not going to edit out are your answers, Tom, to my quickfire questions. What a segue.
There we go.
All right. I have a few.
Okay.
Some of them are a bit... you can give me a bit of a longer answer. Some of them are just one word.
What about buses again? That didn't
No.
work when you did it last time.
No. I actually prepared this time. So, first question is an easy one. Are you a fan of sparkling water?
No. Oh, I think it's horrendous.
Okay. You can go out for dinner with a footballer. Who do you choose to go out to dinner with?
Oh, do they have to still be playing?
No.
Stevie Gerrard.
Alright. This question might be a bit hard, okay? You can skip it if you want, because I don't know if you'll think of anything. If you could rename Anfield, what would you call it?
If I could rename Anfield, what would I call it?
Like the Tom Little Stadium or something.
It's a bit arrogant.
That's very vain.
That's the first thing I thought of.
You know what? I would actually do that just because I think it'd be funny. I would anger so many people, but I tell you what, for my growth on any sort of platform, having a stadium for Liverpool named after me, God, you know what? That's a good shout. There, I will just become vain. You know what? Rename the entire club after me. That's what we should do. Start with the stadium, just expand everywhere. I'll take the training ground after that as well.
Yep.
A massive
Tom
picture
Little
of your
training
face up.
ground as well.
Anyone who walks in asks to show that they subscribe to me on YouTube or follow me on Twitter. That's your ticket.
You're like the baby from CBB. It's just your face in the sky, just looking over.
Okay, next question. If a dog could understand English, what film would you show it?
If a dog could understand English, what film would I show it?
You can't say Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
No, you know, I'd just show it like Shaun of the Dead. I just want the dog to have humour like me. I reckon a dog that just goes to a pub and actually like embraces pub culture would be hilarious.
You know what? I just thought of one. I think I would show it The Truman Show. Just
that
fuck
would
its
just
brain up.
That would just give the dog, which is already having an existential crisis because it can now talk, another one.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny. All right. What do you think about multi-club ownership in football?
Not the biggest fan of it, but there's nothing being done to stop it, so big clubs are gonna do it. I feel like if you're gonna do it, it should be done in a case where every club is on an equal footing, not where a bunch of other clubs are just feeding one big one. I feel like that's the wrong way of doing it. If you're gonna own multiple clubs, all of them should have an equal footing in your portfolio or whatever.
All right. 2 questions left. How many pillows do you have?
4, but it's like 2 on each.
Oh my god, that's
Got
crazy.
6.
There's no way you use
6.
all of these pillows, both of you.
Well,
No.
I'll sleep on one set of 2, and I'll inevitably roll over in the night and sleep on the other set of 2.
I've
I'm a bit
always
of a
had
psycho.
one through my whole
What?
life.
That's nuts.
How
Yeah.
prisoners
That's
get more?
nuts.
I don't know.
Should we buy you some, Veronica? My setup is
Yeah, go
I've got
fund me.
3 on both sides and a cushion, but the cushions get fucking lobbed across the,
I
across the
couldn't,
bedroom.
I couldn't do 3 on one side.
Well,
I feel like
this is the
that would
thing,
just
Tom.
strain me neck.
This is the thing. I'm stupid because I sleep with 2, so one gets shoved over the other side. When I'm sitting in my bed watching the TV, I have 4 behind me. So there's the only time there's 3 and 3 is when I'm not using my bed. It's the most stupid system ever. But I'm a fan of symmetry.
logically, and we're going to apply logic here. You use 2 when you're sleeping and you use 4 when you're sitting up. So why not just have 4 on a 2-2 setup? Then 2 don't need to get lobbed anywhere.
Well, yeah.
He likes throwing things.
Yeah, I'm just fucking just living all the time. No,
You can keep the little throwy pillow if you want. You can chuck that, whatever, but I'm just thinking like logically, so there's not 2 pillows that are just getting
Stop
chucked
bringing logic
everywhere.
to this podcast. This podcast is no home for logic. It's nonsense only.
Speaking of nonsense, my last question. Okay. Have you listened to the Talk Tour podcast?
No,
What the fuck are you asking him?
I couldn't think of anything worse than that.
Okay, that's my last question.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
Well, you ask
It's
for
the
nonsense,
4th
you get
biggest
nonsense.
podcast in the US.
Yeah, for context, we were once the 216th biggest film podcast in the US. So that makes you think,
True.
really, doesn't it? Anyway,
40th in the
Tom.
UK. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Tom, thank you so much, mate. You've been an absolute delight. We will let you escape and go to
There was
watch
one
the
more
Liverpool
question
match.
that I was going to anger everyone with. You know that cinema blind spot? I was going to anger everyone with that.
Yeah, right, let's end on that.
Go for
Let's
it.
end on that. What's your cinematic blind spot?
Name any big film franchise. Just rattle them off, and I'll tell you if I've seen them or not.
Star Wars,
No,
Lord of the Rings,
no,
the Marvel films.
Yes.
Veronica, you can help me out here because I'm now blanking.
Alpha and Omega 1 and 2.
I dread to
There's a
think what
third
they
one.
are.
Tom,
Oh, there's 3.
you've got go. If you want to hear about that, you've got to go back and listen to the episode with Matt Baldwin. So that's
I don't know if I want to hear about that. I think that's something that should be listened to once and forgotten about.
We talked about sex fetishes about it, and it's a
What?
kids animated film.
Whoa,
Sex fetishes
that's not
were
what
mentioned.
happened. All right,
Well, they
move on.
mentioned yes or no.
Oh my god,
Anyway.
that's reminded me of another story I've got.
All right, well, we need to hear the story now.
Yeah, got to tell the story. Come on.
Back at Christmas time when the original Ted came out, I must have been 9 or 10. I asked for it for Christmas, and my mum's going shopping, so she's trying to she's buying for so many different family members. She sees she knows that I'm after a film called Ted, and she sees it, and it's got a picture of a teddy bear on the front. I don't know why the cover didn't have the original one of the 2 people pissing. It was just a picture of the teddy bear. So she thought, oh, do you want to watch a nice teddy bear film? 9-year-old me learns an entirely new different sense of humour on Christmas night. Boxing Day comes round, and a couple of older family members come over, and she's talking about what she bought, and she goes, "Oh yeah, and I got Thomas this film called Ted," and they all just look at her and go, "Have you watched it?" She goes, "No, it's about a teddy bear," and they just go, "Watch it tonight." Needless to say, I never got that DVD back. I've only ever seen Ted once since, and it was on demand. So I hope one day I get my Ted DVD back, because that was
You're
a
an adult
lifelong
now, Tom. You can watch whenever you want.
Yeah, but I feel like she's trying to make up for the bad parenting by just not letting me see it anymore.
Don't watch
say
Ted 2.
That's
by
fair
the way.
enough.
Erase
Ted
it.
2 is like one of the worst films I've seen.
Oh god.
Don't watch the
Anyway,
sequel.
if you want to hear more stories about
And the other one
Ted
as well,
and
Harry
other
Potter.
things,
I've never
Harry
seen
Potter.
Harry Potter.
Me
either.
neither.
Any big film
God, you two
franchise that
shambles.
isn't Marvel, I've never seen. Any like cinematic masterpiece that people go on about, like, I don't think I've ever seen an Oscar-winning film.
You must have seen at least one
Uh,
accidentally.
I don't think I've ever seen an Oscar. Unless Prisoners won an Oscar, I don't think I've ever
No, I
seen
don't
one.
think so.
I nearly watched that Anything Everywhere All at Once a couple of years ago. Didn't end up
Oh
going
yeah,
through
that's
with it.
pretty good. Oh.
Yeah,
So,
really good film. My dad hated
like,
it, but yeah.
Never seen Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer's
never seen
rubbish.
Coda.
Shut up,
Never seen
Veronica.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, there's just a list of shit films because only boring films.
Parasite. Never seen. Green
Oh,
Book.
that's
Never
good.
seen. Spotlight. Birdman. 12 Years a Slave. I'm going through the winners now. No, never seen a single film that's won an Oscar.
Well, you know,
That's impressive.
if you wanna find some recommendations for films, you can always listen to FCA.
There you go.
This is your home for recommendations. Anyway, I will finally let you go. Tom, before you do go, though, make sure you have a little plug of anything you want to plug, because you are truly a scholar and a saint. And we thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a right good laugh. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, they're all Tom Little, but with a 1 instead of the I, because there's apparently another Tom Little more famous than me. I don't know. I've got Anfield named after me now, so I assume I'll be getting that I in my name back very soon. But no, thanks for having me on. It's been a proper good laugh.
Again, a massive thank you to Tom Little for coming on the show this week. We absolutely loved that chat. So make sure to drop a follow and visit the Tom Little Stadium when it will soon be unveiled. Veronica, what films have you had the pleasure or the displeasure of watching in the last 2 weeks, or whenever the last episode was?
So I have let the team down a little bit. 2 weeks, I've only watched 4 films. I have been quite busy. And also knew the podcast wasn't coming out last week, so I gave myself a little break.
You also have a life. I just sit home watching films, so I'll let you off.
Yeah, I do have a job. But anyway, first film I watched, which is a long time ago now, probably 2 weeks ago, was at the cinema with my mum. Shout out because she listens to the podcast. I watched Blink twice at the cinema. I gave it a 3.5 rating, which I think is pretty good for the sort of film it was. It's Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, if you remember Zoe Kravitz, of course, with an amazing performance in the new Batman film as Catwoman. Everyone loved it, I'm sure. And I actually thought the direction was great. I think it was like one of the main parts of the film I really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to seeing the second film she directs. I'm not sure if it's been announced. title card placement was so good in this. Like the title card was placed perfectly. 4.5 out of 5 rating for the title card. I love a great title card.
Big bold one that just like slaps you, like the Batman. That's a great title card.
Yeah, one that comes in a way where you're not expecting a title card, where it's kind of it's integrated into what's going on in the film. I love that. Absolutely love it. Anyway, the film, a little bit about the film in case anyone wants to watch it. Film stars Channing Tatum as a character who is a disgraced tech billionaire who invites two waitresses, played by Naomi Aki and Elia Shawkat, to his island, which is disconnected from the world. No phones, nothing, just partying, being with nature, hanging out with this group of rich guys and the girls they invite and whatever. Adria Arjona, which is how you pronounce her name, I've heard,
She the one in
plays.
Hitman.
Yes, she plays another one of the
What a
guests on the
woman!
island.
What a woman!
Oh, what a woman! Honestly, one of the best women of all time. Some would say, one of the greats. She gives a stand-up performance. I really like her in everything I've seen. Like Jack mentioned, she was in Hitman, which we both absolutely love. She was also, firstly, where I saw her was in the new Irma Vep show, or Irma Veep, or whatever it's called. It was on HBO. I watched one episode, and I can't remember anything other than the fact that she was in it. And then she was in Hitman, then she was in this. Really good run. I will be watching her next project. I will be there. The film was pretty good. Like, it tried to say something that I don't think it fully succeeded in, without spoiling. Just considering the ending. I wasn't sure about the ending. But for a directorial debut from an actress that I personally didn't expect to be a director, I've never thought of Zoe Kravitz as being a director before. And it wasn't. This film wasn't really on my radar. I just thought, go look at what's in the cinema. Let's go. And I thought it was better than I expected. And like, it's more of a psychological thriller than a horror film. I don't think it's a horror film. My mum hates horror films. Like, she hates scary films. And she enjoyed
Me
it.
and your mum would get on famously.
Okay, let's
No,
slow down there.
well, just as friends.
Listen, I know you're single now, but calm down. Right, but yeah, she enjoyed it, which means that it's not a horror film. Otherwise, she would have left. So I recommend it. Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's out on VOD right now. I'm not sure if it's out on streaming. If you want to rent it, I guess you can. The next film I saw, going from a film that's just been released to a film from 1950. We're going retro this week. Like for Let's
Came out
Camera
the year
Action.
you were born, wasn't it?
Okay. No, I was not born in 1950, Jack. But actually,
Sorry, 60s.
okay. Actually, you know what? That brings me into the title of the film, because it's called Born Yesterday. Wow. What a great segue.
What a link.
I gave it a 4.5, which is really high for me. It was probably closer to a 5 than a 4. So I really, really did love it. It includes an Oscar-winning performance from Judy Holliday, which I since found out after reading some reviews that some people think this Oscar was not deserved because it won over Gloria Swanson's performance in Sunset Boulevard, which is another film I really love. I gave that 5 stars. And now listen, I've seen both films. As you now know, I loved both films. In my opinion, even though Gloria gives an incredible performance, this Oscar win for Judy Holliday was deserved for what she does in this film. I think she's brilliant. It's one of my favourite performances, I think, that I've seen from an actress, especially from an older film, because I don't watch those as often as other people do. But I was really impressed.
Just quickly, Judy Holliday is, I reckon, pound for pound, one of the best names in show business ever.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that in that old kind of like transatlantic, like, oh, I say, like, it's the new film with Judy Holliday. Oh, I say, that's you. I think purely for her name, I think she deserved the Oscar that year.
Yeah, I agree. But not for the name, for the performance, of course.
Well, for both.
But I just want to give a bit of background of why I watched this film, because like I said, I usually try and watch new films, catch films that come out of the cinema. I watched this film, and it's been I watched this for a long time because I've heard some people say that Poor Things takes a bit of inspiration from Born Yesterday, and I wanted to watch it to see where that comparison has come from, basically. It's about a businessman's mistress who goes with him to Washington, D.C. for some kind of work related thing. And he asks a guy who seems quite smart and well educated. He's played by William Holden, who is an absolutely gorgeous man, by the way, especially in this film with glasses. Brilliant. And he hires him to teach her how to speak better or behave better when talking to these businessmen and government officials and whatever. So she starts learning from reading the books that he recommended, going to museums with him, kind of being in the know of what the news is saying, reading newspapers, using a dictionary to learn new words. Mid conversation, she'll run up to a dictionary and look up a word and then come back to say it. Like it's a comedy. It's very good. I love that bit.
Judy Halliday is dizzy with excite. Is
Yeah.
that not a line in the film?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I don't know how you knew that. You haven't watched it.
Well, I just know these things.
Yeah. So, like Jack just mentioned, that does kind of remind you of how Bella Baxter in Poor Things starts learning, gaining knowledge, going to seminars, reading books, getting a better vocabulary, and learning synonyms for words that she keeps mentioning throughout Poor Things. So that's definitely where some of the inspiration has come from. I also think some of the inspiration came from the kind of relationship dynamics. So Harry, who is the businessman character, reminds me a lot of what's his name? Mark Ruffalo's character in Poor Things, a little bit, and then Rami Youssef's character in Poor Things, Max, was probably a little bit inspired by William Holden's character in Born Yesterday. Like you can see kind of a little bit of a inspiration between those relationship dynamics, and then obviously Judy Holliday's character being compared to Bella Baxter. I think the negatives are why I didn't give it a 5, because I was close to giving it a 5. I really loved it. The negatives are that it is maybe a little bit too positive about US history. So when they do go to the Capitol building and these museums and things and talk about politics, is a little bit, you can tell the time that it was set where they're being very much over positive about the US, and that's a little bit off-putting. And I also don't really think that. Okay, this is a little bit of a spoiler, slightly. I'm sorry, it came out in 1950.
In fairness, yeah, I think there's like a statute of limitations on spoilers. I think we've gone a little bit past. I think you're all right to spoil a film from
yeah. If it was
60 or whatever it was.
1960, I probably wouldn't say it, but 1950, you've had 10 more years.
It's like a copyright. It's just it cuts off now. Like it's in the public domain.
Yeah. So the relationship bit, I didn't think that the main character, I can't remember her name, Billy, I think. I didn't think she should have ended up with anyone at the end. Kind of like what Poor Things does with ending the relationship dynamics in a way where it's a bit open-ended. You don't really know what's going on. It's not like a main point of the ending. I don't think it should have been like that, because it's more about the journey that the female character's gone through in finding herself and enjoying the kind of experience of gaining knowledge and finding things out and exploring that kind of curiosity that she hasn't had the chance to explore earlier on in life, or even think that she was good enough to explore. And I think that's the main journey in the story, rather than who she ends up with, or does she leave him for him. I just thought that was a bit, I don't know, like I personally wouldn't have done that, and I like that Poor Things didn't do that. But in general, like I really love this film. It's very funny. There are some lines that are complete like standouts that I put in my Letterboxd review. It's definitely a comedy, so if you want to have a laugh, it did age well. It's not like one of those where you watch Ted 2 and you're like, what the hell is going on? This is rubbish, and I can't believe that people laughed at this at the cinema. Or if you watch Deadpool and Wolverine. But anyway, yeah, love the script, love the performances. Check it out. Born Yesterday. It's probably on YouTube or somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, that's the best film I saw in the past 2 weeks. So spoiler, it gets worse. Next film I saw was at the cinema again. I went to watch a preview of The Outrun, which is a film coming out soon-ish, I think, in the UK. This was a preview with a casting crew Q&A at the end. Yes, I did get Saoirse Ronan's autograph, And I also got an autograph from the director of the film, Nora, which was very
God, I
cool.
wish I lived in London sometimes.
Yeah, you have to
You don't
move,
get
man. You have to
anything
come to
gospel, do
these.
you?
It's brilliant. So yeah, that was great. Thanks, Saoirse Ronan. I know you're listening, friend of the podcast now. And I think she's probably the most famous person I've met at these cinema previews. I think. I mean, Oscar nominated actress. I think that's up there. But the film. I gave it 3 stars. You might think that's quite low because there's a lot of buzz about it right now. Saoirse Ronan does carry the film. You know, her performance is the crux of the film. It will probably be Oscar nominated this year. I would not be surprised at all. The film explores the journey of a woman who has drinking problems and she goes back home to the Orkney Islands to go through some sort of rehabilitation. The film it kind of includes a bit of a messy timeline, so it jumps between her younger self in her 20s and her current self in her, I think, 30s, quite often. And like, I don't think it was that hard to follow because they use hair color as a way of representing what time it is in. But there were a few times where I did think that it had issues once or twice where I couldn't tell where we were, despite the fact that they used hair color as a time capsule kind of thing.
Why does Saoirse Ronan, as much as we all love her, why does that's now two films where it like skips back and forth, but she's the younger version. It's
Yeah, I don't know.
you know,
She just loves it.
yeah, that's just her thing.
She's a time traveling woman.
Maybe that's
Uh,
it. Yeah.
there's something in that. Someone do some research. But yeah, that was kind of where I thought the issue started. And this film was based on a book, right? It was based on a memoir written by a woman called Amy. I forgot her surname. I'm sorry. She was there. She seemed nice. And the cast and crew did mention a few times that they didn't think a film adaptation would be possible because of the way the book was written and how it jumps around a lot in time and how she speaks in first person a lot and she talks about her feelings and emotions in a very vulnerable, open way, very kind of naturally. So it's hard to make that into a film and show that and even write a script that will make sense. And, I can see why they said that. And, like they were right because, in my opinion, it probably could have stayed as a book. But on the other hand, I understand wanting to tell the story on screen and why someone like Saoirse Ronan would want to be involved because she's a producer on this as well. And she would want to be involved in a project like this, which is so challenging as an acting role and a showcase of how good she is. That will probably get her another Oscar nomination.
I think it's so I guess exciting is the word that a lot of like big kind of mainstream younger actresses like Saoirse Ronan, I think Sydney Sweeney, Margot Robbie, they're not only obviously having these like really A massive or B really impactful and important roles, but also getting into producing, trying to finance projects and trying to look for unique angles. And I think it only bodes well for the future of cinema, so that these conversations and the industry isn't dominated by old white men who just moan and fart and do whatever will make them money. I think it's very promising, and I really like to see it from some of those younger people.
Yeah, and then I completely agree. I think Sydney Sweeney is one that I really am
Emma Stone as
keeping an
well.
eye
Emma
on.
Stone,
Yeah, Emma Stone, yeah.
of course.
Emma Stone's been brilliant in producing recently. And I think Sydney Sweeney has a few films coming up that you mentioned, and I think they're probably also going to be good because Immaculate, the film that she first produced, I watched it this year and I thought it was great. And, not every horror film is great. There are good ones and there are bad ones, but Immaculate I thought was brilliant. And the way that she had a hand in producing it was also really good when I read about it. Final film I watched was recently, a few days ago. I watched Cuckoo, which is a 2024 horror film. It wasn't really that horror-ish, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't say it's a horror film. I don't know how I'd categorize it. I don't really like genre categorization, but for the sake of a podcast, it's quite useful. I gave it 2 stars, so it's the lowest rated film
Oh, poor
from the
Hunter
past 2
Schafer.
weeks.
I
I'm
love Hunter
sorry.
Schafer.
I'm so
That's a
sorry,
shame.
Hunter. It was probably a bit harsh, but it's. I was tired. Also, I was let down. And when I'm let down, I'm disappointed, I will be harsher with my film ratings, because I've seen that still with Hunter Schafer sitting behind a bookcase with a bleeding head bandaged up so many times on Twitter that I was expecting a good film. With the amount of people that have been excited for it for so long, and it's been delayed so many times, and then it's just been released where not really anyone watched it. It's mid. It's actually lower than mid. I didn't find the plot and the story interesting. I just didn't. It's about a family who moved to Germany, and the daughter, played by Hunter Schafer, finds out the town isn't as it seems. Oh, wow. And then she's haunted by these sounds and visions from some woman who I don't know why it's her. I don't really think it's explained unless I wasn't paying attention. There is some representation for the LGBTQ plus community, which is a plus. So shout out. But
Is that a pun? Did you mean to say that?
what do you mean? What do I say?
You said some of the lines of there's some representation for the LGBT plus community, which is a plus.
What is the plus?
You let's move on. There was a joke in it. I think when you listen to this back, you'll go, "Oh, that's what you mean."
Okay.
You said
No, I
you said
don't
plus
know.
twice.
Oh, I did. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Shout out to me for doing that.
Well done.
Uh,
Well done.
what a podcaster. All right. Yeah. There's nothing else I really found interesting. I thought Hunter Schafer was good, as always. Like she's always she always is.
A true queen. Love.
Absolutely.
We'll get on the podcast one day. Come
Yep.
on, Hunter.
Kinds of Kindness she was in as well, so that gives her a lot of points in my book. And she's great in Euphoria, which has its issues. But she's the reason I gave her 2 stars, to be honest. I need something that is like it represents each star. So if it's a low rated film, I'll give it some credit if there's a few things that I enjoy. But in this one it was probably Hunter Schafer who I enjoyed a lot, which is why I gave 2 for Hunter Schafer and 0 for everything else. I've seen people praise Dan Stevens' performance a lot, like more than you'd expect as a standout, but I didn't find it to be anything too special. I don't really recommend the film, and that's all my films for this week.
Now I've had a shit 2 weeks, so I've mainly been indulging in watching some classics, but also some rom-coms, and as well as that, a couple of my favourites that I've revisited. So go from worst to best. The worst, easily, was Knight of Cups by Terrence Malick. Um, I actually really like Terrence Malick films. Thought Song to Song was really good. And The Thin Red Line is my favourite ever war film. I want to get on Criterion. But this just didn't work. It had Christian Bale in it, as well as there were some really big actresses in it, such as Kate Blanchett and others. But it just didn't work. It was one of them where it was just so up its own arse and pretentious. If it wasn't for the genuinely unbelievable cinematography, it would be. I mean, it wasn't that watchable anyway, but it would have been just a disaster. I thought the acting was really weak. Terrence Malick does this thing. I think he learned it during the Thin Red Line. He learned that actors can mumble narration. So it was just Christian Bale going, "Oh, I walked down the road and I saw a palm tree." It was just the most incoherent, just mumbling of all time. It was fucking so annoying. And that was 2 hours, and I just wanted it to end. It was so dull. My least favorite Malick film. I've only seen a few, but my least favorite Malick film. And then going from awful into shite. I was so disappointed by this film. So disappointed by it. It's my least favorite David Lynch film, despite the fact I've wanted to watch it for ages. It is Mulholland Drive. I have wanted to watch this film for so long, and it got a 2 out of 5. I think I gave Knight of Cups. I think I gave it either a 1. Let me just check Letterboxd very quickly. I either gave it a 1 or a 1.5, but let me my diary up. Yeah, Knight of Cups got a 1. It got half a star because of cinematography. But yeah, Mulholland Drive. I'm very hit and miss with kind of surrealist, experimentalist, dreamlike films. Um, so as much as I respect David Lynch as a director and a visionary, I think he's, you know, wish to have more David Lynch's in the world. This just it didn't work for me at all. There were some bits that did, but as a film, it didn't. I thought it was awfully paced, really incoherent, and yeah, I just kind of it was better than Night of Cups, but along those lines, which is a shame. I think maybe I'll revisit it down the line, and I might enjoy more because I was in a bad mood when I watched it, which whether you agree or not, it does impact how you experience and rate a film. It's currently my least favorite Lynch film that got logged. It's below Dune, which I gave a 2.5, and my favorite is Blue Velvet, which gave a 3.5. But I am planning on watching Eraserhead, Elephant Man, and Lost Highway soon. So I should pad out that rating. Now, into the decent / mid category. Two rom-coms, funnily enough. One of which was Anyone But You. It was decent. It was, 6 out of 10. It was fine. I thought
I
Sydney
absolutely
Sweeney.
love that
Oh, go
film. I just want to come
on.
in
Okay.
and I want to say to Mr. Reese, who absolutely slated this film for so long, and he hates it. He slated Sydney Sweeney's performance and everything about it. And you know what? There are anyone but you defenders in this world. And we are two of them, and we have a platform, and we will be defending Sydney Sweeney. Although her performance wasn't as good
Um,
as Glenn Powell's.
right. So
Nowhere
you
near,
cut me off.
actually.
You cut me off there, and I was about to say, and I stand by this. Um, I think Sydney Sweeney's performance in this film was genuinely terrible. I thought her line delivery was horrific. Um, I thought some of the physical comedy she did worked, but I thought she was just really bad in this film. Glenn Powell absolutely carried it, as he does with basically every film he's in. So charismatic. I mean, my favourite part, because it caught me so off guard, was when, the surfer dude, he's having a shower and he's talking about like Aussie slang names for cock, and that's a penis, not a chicken. And he goes, mate, you're anteater. And he grabs his flaccid cock in one hand and he makes it into like a little nose, and the camera just pans down and you expect it to cut away, but you just see it like the fucking eye of Sauron just looking at you, and it really caught me off guard, and I respect films that do that. So anyway, next up is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, in which Russell Brand plays a cocky, arrogant, unlikable sex pest, which is very on the nose. Yeah, it was just fine. It was just a serviceable rom-com. Again, I feel like quite a few films I've watched recently, they're too long or they're really badly paced. This is it. It should have been an hour and a half long, and then it would have been probably a higher rating, 3.5 or maybe even a 4 if certain things were different. But hey ho. And next in this category is Ad Astra, starring Brad Pitt. Again, like a 6 out of 10. It was okay. It was decent. I thought Brad Pitt was kind of a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, and the ending was horrific. It was so unsatisfactory. It was kind of like if Interstellar and 2001 weren't good. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there, but hey ho. Now moving into the good category, we've got Argo, directed and starring Ben Affleck. This is a thriller, a true story, a thriller about some hostages in the, I think, some hostages in Iran, or Tehran in Iran, and how the CIA folks and people like that got them out of Tehran. It was really good, actually. I was expecting it to be kind of not mid, but like just decent. But I was really impressed with it. I gave it 4 out of 5 on that box. Really effective. I think the acting was pretty good. I loved the sound design and the editing was really cool. So yeah, very impressed by that. And then, as I said earlier, I watched Rebel Without a Cause, starring James Dean, because I've wanted to watch it for a while, but I was scrolling on TikTok and the scene from La La Land showed up where Ryan Gosling goes, "I got the bullets." And he goes, "You haven't seen it? Oh no." And then they go and see it in the Rialto, and then they drive to the observatory. And yeah, I thought I'd whack it on. I thought James Dean's performance. I know a lot of time, like old classic performances, they go, "Oh, this is the greatest one of all time." It is up there with one of the greatest performances of all time. It's so well rounded. It's vulnerable. It's funny. He's brash. He's sweet. It's just like such a perfect performance. Not a perfect film, but definitely one to watch. Another 8 out of 10. And then I watched A Clockwork Orange. This I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Incredibly mixed feelings. I said in my review that um, it could have got anywhere from a 3 to a 4.5. I sat with a 3.5. I still don't know how to feel about it really, but I, as always, I respect Kubrick's vision because not many directors could have pulled it off. I think there are absolutely some very justifiable criticisms you can level at it. For example, its portrayal of, I think the sexual assault scenes go on for too long. But Veronica, do you have any thoughts on a Clockwork Orange? Or have you yet to see it?
Yeah, I do. I watched it quite a long time ago, and I watched it after reading the book, and I
Mm,
really liked the
dangerous, huh?
book. Yeah, I read books. Just saying. Only good ones like Clockwork Orange and American Psycho.
Poor
But
things,
anyway,
the
all the
novelization.
best, all the best ones. But yeah, I read the book and then I watched the film, and the book is better than the film in my opinion. I don't know if that's controversial. Actually, someone let me know if that is controversial. But the book is really good from what I remember, and kind of made me want to go read more books. To be honest, but the film is good. It's just not as good as the book. So Jack, maybe for a physical media update, you'll go on eBay and pay £1 to get the book because it is not very expensive, and then you'll give us a review.
Yeah, well, I've got an extensive to be read list, so let's add to it. But I'm sure I will. Just to finish off that point, I thought I can't remember who the lead actor was, but he was really good. I loved his accent. We went, we engaged in a bit of the old ultra violence. He was very good. I thought the middle was where it lost me the most. I think. I thought the beginning and the end were just sublime in terms of um. I guess some of as I said, the ultra violent scenes went on for a bit too long, but in terms of just like having a vision and executing it, I think it smashed it out of the park. It was just the middle it got dragged down. But yeah, it was my least favorite Kubrick film, but it's still a good film. Kubrick is one of my favorite directors. I know that's not exactly like a hot take or anything, but some the greats are great for a reason. But anyway, on the topic of Kubrick, and moving into the great segment, I rewatched Doctor Strangelove in cinema, number 6 cinema in Portsmouth, local independent cinema run by volunteers. Absolutely check them out. They're situated in the historic dockyard. They've got a huge screen they use. They put on classic showings as well as new films, and yeah, they put on a showing of Doctor Strangelove. They got 2001 on in a couple of weeks, which I'm excited for. But anyway, the first time I watched Doctor Strangelove was, I think it might have been New Year's Day actually, of this year, and I gave it a 4.5, and I gave it a 5 on rewatch, and I think that's slightly boosted by the fact I saw it in cinema. But fuck it, I don't care. It just works so well as a film. I think Peter Sellers is excellent, but also the guy who plays the guy who plays the general. I can't remember his name. George C. Scott, maybe something like that. He's really fun in it as well. It's just like it's such a dark film, but it's so funny and it was such a good experience watching it. Yeah, I chatted to before from the two guys across from me, who we kind of got chatting about our favorite Kubrick films. We could chat about Barry Lyndon, and A Clockwork Orange and things like that. So that was good fun. That was a very good night. I enjoyed that a lot. I also watched Children of Men, which got a 4.5 out of 5. Very effective thriller that has aged incredibly well, scarily well as well, because of its portrayal of kind of attitudes towards refugees and immigrants and whatnot. Um, that is a very much I don't want to say it's like an evergreen film. I think if you want to watch a film that absolutely reflects where society might be going, go watch that film because I think there's a lot to learn. But also, it's a very effective film, very well shot, very well paced, etc. etc. Now, two more rewatches. One got an upgrade. I watched Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some, starring um, lots of people, and Glenn Powell, who is the best part of the film. It got a 4.5 the first time I watched it, and it got a 5 on rewatch. This is the ultimate hangout movie. There's no drama at all. There's like things that you think might turn into drama, but it just doesn't happen. It's just about dudes being dudes. in 1980s Texas. There's a group of university baseball players, and it's basically the weekend leading up to the first day of term, and it's about their what they get up to, like the hazing and nights out, and yeah, it's just an incredibly uplifting, awesome film. I highly recommend it. And finally, for the third time this year, I rewatched Punch Drunk Love on Criterion Collection, of course, and obviously it's still at a 5. It's the best film ever made. I don't need to talk more about it. It's just go watch it. It's exceptional. But anyway, away from the past into the future, as we always say. Do you have any or many upcoming cinema trips over the next week?
Yes, I do. And the most exciting one, I think one of the most exciting trips I've had this year, and I've been to Venice Film Festival. Okay.
You never mention it, so
No, I never mentioned it, but yeah, I was there. But anyway, today, actually, when we're recording on the 26th of September, I'm finally watching The Substance with a Demi Moore Q&A after the film, and I'm so incredibly excited. I saw the trailer at the cinema 2 weeks ago when I went to see Blink Twice.
the trailer is electric, by the way.
The trailer is incredible. Oh my god. It got me so hyped to see the film. I already wanted to see it, but then seeing the trailer at the cinema with that absolutely booming music and the cuts and the pace of it is just, it makes it seem so great. It seems like exactly the type of film that I will love. I will be disappointed if I don't love it, to be honest, because it seems tailor-made for me. And I will also be seeing Megalopolis on Tuesday. It'll probably be a big mess. I still want to see it. I hope I get picked to be the person talking to Adam Driver. Please pick me.
Yeah, I've just got one trip lined up, but I think I'm coming into a phase where there's going to be at least one trip a week, which is exciting. I am seeing Megalopolis tomorrow night, so Friday night. Small part of me wants to go up to the front desk and ask if I can talk to Adam Driver. I think they might say no, but don't ask, don't get. It's got one of the most insane letterbox curves I've ever seen, and I think it's very important to not hide away from the allegation, not even the allegations, the video that came out about, and the allegations come out about Francis Ford Coppola on the production of the film, which I think we touched on about a month ago, maybe. I think that's absolutely something to take into account whilst watching it. Don't be a shitbag, don't be a pervert. Little tip for people out there. But apart from that, I think when you try and just take the film for what it is, I always respect artistic visions, and when someone wants to get a film made for so long, then it finally happens. I think it's one of them event films that, by the sounds of the reviews, it's like nothing else that's ever been done before. For better or for worse, we'll see. But so next week on the podcast there will be a full review. We'll do a proper review, I think, of Megalopolis, because it's one of the most anticipated films of the year for a reason. It's Francis Ford Coppola making a film he's wanted to make for 40 odd years. Now, anyway, Veronica, do you have anything to add to the physical media update, or am I riding solo this week?
No, I don't. You're on your own.
Right. So I am back at uni this week, as I think I said earlier. I can't remember. Bad memory. So I thought I had a 3-hour break between seminars because of scheduling issues, which is fun. Not issues, it's just that's the way the land lies. Anyway, so I popped over to Southampton HMV, which is, I really hate the way that HMV is laid out. It's not. Portsmouth HMV is laid out so perfectly, and Southampton is not. But anyway, I went in there looking. I didn't really. When I go to HMV, I don't go looking for anything in particular. I always try and get 1 or 2 Blu-rays, and then I go, maybe there'll be a Criterion collection I'll pick up. But I have to be careful with Criterion these days, because I've said to my mum, I've given her a few ideas for Christmas and birthdays, like, maybe these films you can get on Criterion. So I picked up. I nearly got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Blu-ray. I didn't, because you can kind of watch it anywhere. I got Rushmore by Wes Anderson on Criterion Collection. This is the 3rd Criterion Collection I own. I it's very exciting, very exciting. I own 2 Wes Anderson Criterion collections, which is even more fun. So yeah, that's all for this week in terms of the physical media update. Not loads, but a nice purchase. And to round us out, I've got 4 bits of film news in the world of, well, film and entertainment. Number 1, Disney, funnily enough, are set to submit Oscar submissions for both Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool and Wolverine, which, look, I know there's no harm in doing it, but I think ambitious is a word that comes to mind. Martin Scorsese has postponed both his films about Frank Sinatra that is, and The Life of Jesus, which is a bit worrying for me because there was a lot of talk maybe a year or so ago about The Wager, the book he was going to adapt. That's gone dead. I don't really know what Martin's up to. I really hope he doesn't retire because we love Martin Scorsese on this podcast. After Hours is one of my favorite films of all time, so that'd be sad. Brian De Palma has said he has one more film in him, so be excited for that, Palmer heads. And finally, A24 are set to release The Brutalist on December 20th in limited theatres. I am really getting pissed off with A24. They get a lot of hype, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, A24 are like the best filmmaker of the generation." They're just really bad distributors. They're just awful at it. But anyway, that officially takes us up to the end of another episode. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to go back and listen to last week's episode if you're missing us, and make sure you drop us a follow on YouTube and Twitter. It's at Floodlights Pod on both. And whilst you're in last episode, you can find out what our email is because I can't actually remember, but I'm sure it'll be on this summer. We'll be back next week. There won't be a 2-week gap, don't you worry. Hopefully with another guest, as we had a fucking phenomenal time chatting with Tom Little today. So make sure you drop him a follow on Twitter/X. But anyway, until then, keep watching and keep consuming. Adios.